Hello guys, I'm Paris the Options guy and welcome back to today's episode of the No BS Trading Podcast. This is episode number 15 of the podcast and today we are going to talk about how the latest jobs number and the unemployment number in the US markets have affected the US markets. How did we see a sell-off in the Indian markets regardless of US markets not falling on Thursday? What was the reason behind it? And we are also going to talk about the 5 new IPOs that are available for subscription next week in the Indian markets. So this is going to be a bit of a interesting episode for you to watch fully. So yes, definitely watch it till the end because there is a lot to talk about in this episode. So yeah, without any further delay, let's just start with the episode. Now, talking about what happened in the previous week, we mostly had news from the US markets. As I had said in the previous episode, that there isn't a lot of news, but there were a few key data points that came out in this week, which were pretty important. And I will analyze all of those for you over here and what can happen. Okay, so now, first of all, on Friday, we had the unemployment rate data, okay? And unemployment rate was expected to come out at 4.2%, and it did come out at 4.2%. But with that, we also had the jobs data, the non-farm payroll data. I do not really consider that, or I do not really discuss that on the show because there are a lot of revisions that happen to the data. So it is not really of any use to discuss that data as soon as it comes out. But yes, still that data also came out and it was a weak jobs data. That means less number of jobs were added. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you the interpretation. Okay, now what did Jerome Powell say in his speech, right? That unemployment is rising, there are risks to unemployment, right? And the markets assumed that this would be a call to action. That is, the Fed, might give you more rate cuts this year, okay? And then the weak jobs data, okay? Now, the jobs data, right, if it comes out weak, that means the economy is slowing down, right? I mean, it is very simple basic logic, right? That if the economy is weak, lesser number of jobs will be available, right? Lesser number of people will be finding or having new jobs, right? Or getting into new jobs, because the total amount of jobs will be lesser in the economy. Okay, so because of that, we also did see a weak jobs data. This means that the job market is getting weaker now. Okay, so now the Fed is in a bit of a dilemma over here. How is it a dilemma? Is that if the Fed starts to cut rates in order to save the jobs market, or in order to strengthen the jobs market again, then it has the risk of running inflation higher again. Okay, now inflation, next week we have the inflation data. We are going to talk about that also in a few minutes. But inflation is finally starting to come down. Last time inflation came out at 2.9%. It is still not at the target of 2% that the Fed has kept. Okay, so if the Fed raises rates now, right? If the Fed raises rates, that means the jobs market will completely get destroyed. Okay, but at the same time, inflation will get a bit more help to come down, right? But Fed will not really raise rates. That there are political reasons also, and there are economical reasons also, which make raising rates a very small probability, right? And chances are that Fed will not raise rates. Rather, if Fed just keeps the rates wherever they are, that will continue to hurt the jobs market. Okay, sure, inflation might come down, but jobs market will weaken. And if job market starts to weaken, that means the economy will also not stay strong for very long. Okay, and we've also already started to see signs of cracks coming into the economy, as I've been talking since few weeks right now. Okay, so because of that, the US markets did react negatively on Friday. And so I'm also going to talk about that when we talk about the market analysis and what really can happen in the US market. Okay, so that was one thing. And the second thing that happened in our markets before all of this data came out in US was that on Friday, in our markets, we saw a sell-off regardless of the US market being sold off the previous day, right? So on Thursday the US markets were pretty flat, right? And we also, they were not pretty flat, but they were like slightly negative, right? But our markets were very weak on Friday. This was because of the FPI rule that SEBI had come out with a few months ago. Okay, so what the rule was that, if you are in foreign portfolio investor, you had to give full disclosure of the beneficiary of your fund. Okay, who is the beneficiary of the fund? Who, the one who invests in it, right? Who is giving the capital of the fund, right? The one who invests in the fund is the beneficiary. So what a lot of people did is that they started funds in tax haven countries like Mauritius or Dubai or anywhere, right? And these guys, what they did was they routed their funds through these tax haven countries, right, by making a new fund over there and then investing in the Indian markets. Because of this, what happened was they saved up a lot of tax, right? And SEBI did not like this, right? SEBI did not like that people were routing their money through Mauritius or any sort of tax haven country by making a new fund and then investing in the market. And so what SEBI said that, give me a full disclosure of who is the beneficiary of your fund. Okay, who is the one who is investing in your fund and all that stuff, whose money is this, right? And that's why SEBI said that today was the last, today, that is I'm sorry, not today, but like 6 September is the last date that you can give me the disclosure. If you do not give me the disclosure, then you will be not qualified as FPI and you will not be able to invest in India anymore. Okay, so because of that, what happened was that since 6 September was the last date, a lot of people or a lot of clients or a lot of FPIs, you can say, who did not who hadn't disclosed their position, their beneficiaries or anyone, they started to exit their positions. Okay, they started to exit their investments and they started to sell their portfolio out. Okay, so because of this, what happened was that we saw a extraordinary weakness in our markets, which wasn't really warranted by the global markets. Sure, after the data that came out in the evening, we did global markets also, specifically US markets also became negative, but before that itself our markets were pretty negative. So I think a major part of this weakness, I think, was because of this FPI rule, and we might see a bit of a bounce back coming in on Monday, but that is something that we'll discuss in the market analysis video of the market analysis part of the episode. Okay, but yes, that was it for the previous week. Now let's move on to what happened, what is going to happen in the next week. Now, next week is mostly dominated by inflation numbers, starting off with Wednesday, where we have the US CPI data coming out, and the year-over-year expectations of US CPI is expected at 2.6%. So US CPI is expected to come down from 2.9% all the way down to 2.6%. Okay, and core CPI is expected to come out at 0.2% on a month over month basis. Okay, that is one big thing. And if this data comes out good, okay, if US CPI comes out at 2.6%, then the US Fed will have much more leeway or much more liberty to cut rates, right? And then the Fed will more freely be able to cut rates because the data, the CPI, the inflation is cooling down pretty fast. That means the Fed now can get a green light to cut rates. And so if this data comes out better, expect the US markets to give a very good bounce back. Okay, but after that, on Thursday, we have the India CPI data year over year. Last time we saw CPI coming out at 3.5%, right? This time also, if the data comes below 5%, it is good. Okay, below 5%, any sort of data is good for India. Okay, so not a big deal. Okay, the India CPI data will not affect the markets in any way. But yes, after that, we have the US PPI data on the same day, on Thursday after market in evening, in Indian time evening, we have the US PPI data, and on a month over month basis, we are expecting the market is expecting a 0.2% increase, and core PPI data also on a month over month basis, the market is expecting a 0.2% rise in the PPI, in the producer price index inflation. Okay, so keep this in mind when you are trading in the markets, and if you're thinking about taking a long an overnight position on Wednesday or Thursday, keep this in mind that on both of those days you have some sort of a data coming overnight, so we might see a big gap up or a gap down. And so trade cautiously basically. Okay, and so if both of these CPI and PPI data, both of these come better than expected or are just in line, and they show a good amount of reduction in inflation, then this will definitely be a good data point to this will definitely be a good data point which will really prop up the markets. Okay, so that is it for the next week. We don't really have anything else that we need to really keep in mind, or we really need to focus on. But yes, if now that is done, now let's move on to the IPOs that are coming next week, because we have 5 new IPOs that are coming in our market. So I'm going to discuss about all of them and which one should you invest in, which are the best IPOs to invest in. Now talking about the 5 IPOs that are going to come in our markets this week, we first of all have the Shri Tirupati Balaji Agro Trading Limited IPO. Okay, the name's pretty big, but what company does is pretty simple. So this is first of all 169 crore rupees IPO, and what the company does is that it makes FIBC bags. Okay, so what these FIBC bags, or you can say FIBCs, are is flexible intermediate bulk containers. I know it sounds very complicated, but it is not. These are basically industrial, you can say industrial usage bags, which are used to ship a huge amount of, or huge quantity, or store a huge quantity of industrial products, such as let's say grains or some sort of a chemical, right? They are used to store and also transport all of these different types of substances, and these bags are used across many industries such as chemicals, agrochemicals, food, mining, etc., etc., right? So basically this is what the company does. It makes these bags and also other packaging products such as woven sacks, woven fabrics, and all that stuff, right? So this company, if you see, now is raising 169 crore, out of which 122 crores will go to the company and 47 crores will go to the promoters who are selling their stake. The IPO has already started, but September 9th is the last date to apply. That is Monday, so you can still apply on Monday. So talking about the gray market premium, first of all, the gray market premium is going on at 48%. So it is a good bet to apply if you are applying for listing gains. If you want listing gains, this IPO is a good bet to apply for, and definitely you can apply for that. But if you are trying to invest in this company, let's move on to that and let's look at first of all the revenues. If you see, from FY22 to FY24, the revenues have gone from 453 crores to 552 crores, and at the same time the profit after tax has risen at a much higher pace, going from 13.6 crores all the way up to 36 crores. Okay, so profit after tax going much faster and higher than revenues, and this is because the company has improved its profit margins. Okay, and this is a good thing for the company. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is that I think 49% of the company's revenues come from the export market. So yeah, definitely the company has a good amount of exposure in the export markets also. Okay, so the only problem that the company has is that the the industry that the company operates in, or the space that the company operates in, of these FIBCs, or all of these bags and all that stuff, it is a very competitive space. And another thing is that it is a space which can be easily disrupted by anyone, because the barriers to entry are low, because at the end of the day you're just making bags, right? So you need to know the technique and you need to have the materials. That's about it. So that's why the barriers to entry are pretty less in this space, you can say, or in this industry that the company is operating in. So because of that, we might have the company might might in the future face profit margin reductions, or the profit margins of the company might get affected because new players might enter into the market who could disrupt the market. Okay, so all in all, the company is a 7 out of 10 for me. The IPO is also not very pricey. The IPO is also, the pricing of the IPO or the pricing of the shares is also fine. Okay, so if you want to apply in this IPO, definitely, but please keep in mind that this company is a steady growing company, and if you want to apply for the long term, only then apply. Please do not apply for the short term. Okay, and if you are thinking about buying the company after it opens, let's say 40% higher, on the listing day, please do not, then it is not worth it. Okay, overall a 7 out of 10 IPO for me. But after that is the most a very awaited IPO of Bajaj Housing Finance. Okay, Bajaj Housing Finance, again pretty self-explanatory, a part of the Bajaj group of companies, and this is a 6,560 crores IPO, out of which 3,560 crores will go to the company and 3,000 crores will go to the promoters who are selling their stake. The IPO will open on Monday and will close on Wednesday. Okay, so first, let's talk about the gray market premium, because that is a very interesting thing. If you see, the gray market premium is going on at 72% as of now. So a very, very, very good gray market premium over here. Definitely you should apply if you are applying for listing gains. Okay, this is a very good IPO, and since it is a very big IPO, okay, 6,500 crore IPO, since this is a very big IPO, chances are that you will also get chances are that you might slightly have higher chances of getting the IPO, because when you have such a big IPO in the market, the chances of it getting subscribed like 50-60 times also is a bit less, or the retail part of the IPO being subscribed very high is a bit less, because the retail doesn't has a lot of money to subscribe many times to such a big IPO. Okay, sure, the QIB portion, the qualified industry QIB portion or the anchor portion might get subscribed, but the retail portion might not get subscribed so much. So this is an IPO which you should definitely apply for if you are at least thinking about going for the listing gains, because you have, I think, better chances for getting the IPO, and also overall the listing gains are also very, very good. Okay, so now let's talk about the company's business, because business is also important if you want to invest in the company. So the revenues, if you see, have grown at a very good pace. If you see, in FY22 revenues were at 3,767 crores, and by FY24 revenues steadily moved up to 7,600 crores. Okay, so almost I think not almost, but revenues have doubled in the past 2 years. A very, very good jump in the revenues. If you see, for such a big company, you have to understand the scale of the company also. Going from 3,700 to 7,600 crores is a very, very big company. Not a very, very big company, but a very, very good growth in the company's financials. On the other hand, if you see, profit after tax has grown from 709 crores all the way up to 1,700 crores. So profit after tax is rising at a again at a faster pace than revenues also, which is again a good thing for the company, because the profit margins are being improved, right? So that is fine. Now let's talk about, is this IPO a good IPO to apply for if you want to invest in? The answer is very much yes. Why? Because the price at which these guys are issuing the IPO at 66 to 70 rupees, basically 70 rupees. At 70 rupees, the getting such a good quality company, okay, the Bajaj group, okay, a Bajaj group company getting such a good quality company is a very good deal in my opinion. And so you can definitely apply for this IPO, and easily for the long term. In the short term, you might face a bit of jitters, right? Because maybe the housing might maybe overall the economy might slow down a bit, and you might face a bit of jitters. But even for the long run, just a very good IPO at this price, at 70 rupees. Okay, so you can apply for the listing gains, and you can also apply in this IPO for investment. Okay, very good company to keep keep your money invested in, I think you can definitely see a good amount of growth in the company in the coming years also. Okay, and as I said, the P of the IPO will be 30.2 post, after the listing. Post IPO, the the P ratio of the company will be 30.2, which is also good as compared to the industry standards, um, given that the company is a Bajaj group company. Okay, so it definitely, I think, has the P ratio of 30 is definitely deserving. So very good IPO, Bajaj Housing Finance, 10 out of 10. You can definitely apply to it for the listing gains as well as investment purposes. Now let's move on to Tolland Tires. Okay, now Tolland Tires, okay, this is a 230 crores IPO, out of which 200 crores will go to the company and 30 crores will go to the promoters who are selling their stake. So good amount of money that is going to the company. This will also open from Monday to Wednesday at the same time as Bajaj Housing Finance. Okay, so let's first talk about the gray market. So if you see, the gray market premium is going on at 13%. So is it a good premium? As I've said, no. Any premium about above 40% is applicable, but below that, please do not think about applying in any IPO. Okay, so as of now, gray market premium is not good, and I don't think by the time the IPO closes, we will see the premium going above 40%. So if you are applying for listing gains, please skip this IPO. Do not apply for this IPO for listing gains. Rather think about applying in Shri Tirupati Balaji IPO or the Bajaj Housing Finance. Mostly, first priority will definitely be Bajaj Housing Finance, because it has the highest grey market premium going on as of now. Okay, so this company, what this does is that it manufactures tires, and it is pretty self-explanatory given the name of the company. Okay, and it exports its products to 40 countries outside of India. So a very, very good exposure to the export market. And definitely what is happening right now in the tire industry is that a lot of countries, right, are accepting Indian tires to be of a sort of global standard also. Okay, so they are accepting Indian tires also to be very good enough for the global standards, for the export standards, and because of which the tire industry can definitely see a good amount of growth from the exports. Okay, domestic will also see a good growth, but the exports can also come into aid in the coming years for the tire companies. Okay, and its main you can say export markets are Middle East, mostly Middle East, the Middle East part. Okay, Egypt, UAE, and all that stuff. Okay, so company manufactures tires, many types of tires the company manufactures, and it has 1300 SKUs, basically 1300 different types of products. As I said, many products that the company makes. Okay, and one thing that you need, that I'm really sorry. One thing that you can see is that the company has also grown substantially after FY23, not before FY23, because if you see, from FY22 to FY23, the revenues went from 113 to only 108 crores. But after that, if you see, the revenues have jumped to 227 crores. So very, very good jump. But there is also there is the basically the revenues have gone very, very much higher than that. And at the same time, PAT has also risen substantially. And if you see PAT, the profit after tax, is one thing that has just skyrocketed in the last 3 years, going from just 6 crores in FY22 all the way up to 260 crores. So this is what I really like about the company, is that the company is definitely focusing on increasing their PAT margins, their profit margin, their net profit margin, and it has also gone up from 0.5%, only 0.5% in FY22, all the way up to 11.45%. Okay, so I think this is definitely good for the company. this sort of increment is very, very good. Okay, another thing that you need to keep in mind is how are other companies compared to this. And in my opinion, if you look at other companies also, this company is a bit of an outstander. Okay, this company is something which is this company is growing at a bit more faster pace as compared to other companies, its other peers, right? We have LG Rubber Company. You would have, I don't know if you would have heard about it or not, but it has given a return on net worth of just 6.15%, whereas this company has given a return on net worth of 25.8%, right? So a very, very good increment in a very, very good return basically on net worth, and overall a very good growth company that you can say. Okay, and other sort of peers that the company has, it is still a much better buy and a much faster growing company than all of those peers. Okay, so I think you can definitely look out for applying in this IPO. And talking about the PE of the company, okay, is this a fairly priced IPO? Is the company being fairly priced? In my opinion, it is slightly on the higher side of the average of the industry, but given the growth that the company is commanding, it has a ROC of 36%, return on capital employed, and return on equity of 25.8%. So given the growth that the company is showing, I think it is a very, very good not a very, very good, but just a good IPO to apply it to. Okay, so definitely you can think about applying in this IPO for the long term. Okay, for the short term, please do not think for 1 to 2 years. You might, again, as I said, you might see jitters given that the economy might slow down a bit, as we are saying in the global markets and all that stuff. So don't apply for 1 year, 1.5 years. If you're applying for, let's say, 3 years, 4 years, and then this company is a very, very good company to apply to. Okay, and as um the 200 crores that the company is raising, it is also looking out to reduce some of its borrowings, because of which the profit margins will again get a bit more boost. Okay, so definitely a good IPO to apply to. Tollins Tires, again, I think 7 out of 10 easily. Okay, you can definitely apply in this IPO. Now let's talk about cross IPO, which is a 500 crore IPO, out of which 250 crores will go to the company, 250 crores to the promoters. Okay, same IPO will open from September 9 to 11th. Okay, so many IPOs opening on Monday and closing on Wednesday. Okay, so what this does is that it makes vehicle parts for medium to heavy duty commercial vehicles. Okay, these commercial vehicles can be buses, they can be tractors and all that stuff. You get the point, right? So this company, what it does is that it makes these critical parts for the for these vehicles. Okay, like bars, or I can't even you know spell all of the, not spell, but I'm really puzzled by looking at all of these part names. Okay, but basically it makes these parts, these critical parts. And if you see, the company if you see, has shown a very good growth in the profit also, right? From FY22 to FY24, the company has gone from just 297 crores in profit to 621 crores. So double the profit in you can say 2 years, 2 financial years. Very good. Okay, profit after tax has also gone from 12 crores to 44 crores, which is a very good bump up in the profit also. Okay, so this company, if you see, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that this company is into the commercial vehicle segment. Okay, it is mostly deriving its revenues from the commercial vehicle sales that are happening. Okay, not the normal vehicle sales. So that is something that you need to keep in mind. Now, in my opinion, are commercial vehicles going to be a sort of a very good sector to invest in? They won't show very, very good growth, but they can show a steady growth in the coming years. Okay, so Definitely the company, the sort of space that the company operates in, definitely that space can grow, the commercial vehicle space, but don't expect a very big growth in the company's financials or in the revenues going forward, in my opinion. Because commercial vehicles, yes, as I said, that they will grow at a steady pace in the coming years, but they will not grow at a very fast pace. Okay. And another thing that is sort of bugging me about the IPO is that the IPO is fairly more competitively priced, or you can say aggressively priced, or a bit more priced on the higher side. Okay. As compared to its peers over here, like Jamna Auto, Ramkrishna Forgings, and many more. Automotive Axles is also one of them. Okay. So as compared to these guys, the IPO is a bit more aggressively priced. So in my opinion, not the best IPO to invest in. You have, as I said, other options. And talking about the gray market premium also, as of now we don't have any details on the gray market premium about this IPO. So should you apply to this IPO? If you are looking out for listing gains, do not think about applying to this IPO. However, by the third day of the subscription, if you see the listing gains above 40%, then you can think about applying for listing gains. But applying for this IPO is not, I think, the best thing to do in my opinion. Rather, you can think about applying to the other IPOs, that are so many other IPOs that are coming to our markets, right? So you can skip this IPO for applying. Rather, think about applying in Tallinn Tires, Bajaj Housing, or both of these companies. But yeah, there is one more company that we are just going to talk about. Now, talking about the final IPO of the week, we have PNG Jewelers, or some people might know it as PN Gadgil Jewelers. Okay, so this is an 1100 crores IPO, out of which 850 crores will go to the company and 250 crores will go to the promoters who are selling the stake. Okay, good enough. Okay, and this IPO will open at 12th September and will close on I'm really sorry. It will open on 10th September and will close on 12th September. Okay. So, should you apply to this IPO for listing gains? Let's first talk about that. So, right now the listing gains are going on at 36%. Okay. Good, but not good enough for us. Okay. So, if by by the closing day of the IPO, that is 12th September, if the GMP continues to rise and goes above 40%, then you guys can go ahead and definitely apply to this IPO for the listing gains. Okay, so the listing gains part is out of the way, and now let's talk about first of all what the company does. Now, as the name suggests, it is a jeweler. Okay, so they deal into gold, silver, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Okay, and there are many different sub brands for all of these different jewelry types. Okay, gold jewelry, they have 8 sub brands, and platinum jewelry, they have 2 sub brands and all that stuff, but I won't go into the sub brands. Okay, now what you need to understand is that these guys have the highest amount of presence in Maharashtra and Goa only. So if you are from one of these states, you would have definitely seen these guys' showroom, or basically store. But aside from this, if you're from, let's say, Delhi or some other state which is not Maharashtra or Goa, you might have not seen these guys' store. And this is the reason, because they have stores only in Maharashtra and Goa, right? So out of this, okay, so the revenues that these guys have generated from just 2 states is something which I really find interesting, because they have, in FY22, these guys generated over a revenue of 2,586 crores, but in FY24 they generated a revenue of 6,119 crores. Okay, that's a very good revenue growth, and I myself am surprised by looking at these guys' revenue, given that they only have stores. These guys' revenue growth, given that they only have stores in Maharashtra and Goa. Okay, after that, if you see, profit after tax has also gone up from 69 crores in FY22 all the way up to 154 crores. Okay, so, and a very good increase in profit after tax also. But as I said, the biggest thing that really caught my eye was that in just two states, right? Having stores in just two states, these guys have managed to really, continue to grow at a very fast pace, which is personally I find it really interesting, you know. So aside from that, if you see, they have a return on equity of 28.8%, return on capital of 27.3%, debt to equity ratio is pretty low at just 0.7%. Okay. So what are these guys going to do with the money is that they will set up, first of all, 12 new stores in Maharashtra, which I felt like, like, why just stay in Maharashtra and Goa, right? You may sort of, try to go into some other states also, but again, I can't really do anything in that matter, and they will also repay some of the borrowings that they've taken. Okay, but aside from that, how is the company priced? Is the IPO at a good price? Okay, is the IPO being is the company's valuation good? Okay, and the answer is yes, the company's valuation is good, and it is in line with the industry standards. Okay, or in line with the other jewelers that are the other listed jewelry companies. Okay, like Senko Gold is one of them. Okay, however, it is much lesser than Kalyan Jewelers, which has 100 at P of 101. Okay, and this will have a post IPO PA of 42. So this is also a good. The IPO is basically fairly priced. It is not like underpriced, or it is not also overpriced. So can you apply to this IPO? I think definitely you can apply to this IPO. The IPO is also fairly priced because I myself am bullish on this sector. Why on the jewelry sector is because I'm bullish on the luxury sector of India. Okay, I'm bullish on the affluent class of India, the people who have a lot of money. Okay, and so if I'm bullish on those, this is sort of the downstream sector that will benefit from it, the jewelry sector. Okay, if the people who have a lot of money will tend to buy a lot of jewelry, right? I mean, they might or they might not, but yes, if those guys start to get more rich, definitely a lot of money will flow into the sectors like jewelry sector. Okay, so I'm bullish on this company and the sector also. In general, the jewelry sector, it can continue to grow at a very good pace in the a relatively very good pace in the future also. Okay, and I think the company can also benefit from this. Only thing that I felt like was a bit of a bummer is that the company is not trying to expand its reach outside of Maharashtra and Goa. But if they do so, if they decide to do so in the future, that will be really good. Okay, but should you apply to this IPO for the in for the fundamental purposes, for the investing purposes? Definitely you can apply to this IPO for investing purposes. I think this IPO or this PNG Jewelers, I think, can definitely be one of those jewelry stocks that can really give you good returns, a good steady returns, or a good growth in a few years of time. Okay, over a time frame of few years. Okay, in 3 to 4 years you can definitely expect your money to see very good growth if you invest in this IPO. So definitely think about investing in this IPO for the fundamental purposes. Now let's move on to the market analysis for next week. Now, if you see Nifty over here, Nifty has made a bearish engulfing candle, and same with Bank Nifty also. And Bank Nifty's candle is much more worse as compared to Nifty. Okay, so as of now, if you see, markets are looking pretty bearish, given that on Friday both Nifty and Bank Nifty saw very big sell-offs. But as I said previously, in just a few minutes, not a few minutes, but in the first part of my first part of the podcast in the previous week section, is that the sell-off on Friday could be because of the FPI disclosure rule, right? Because of which a lot of FPIs had to forcefully sell their holdings, right? Because of which the market saw good sell-off. So what we need to see is that on Monday, is the market recovering and closing at higher levels? Okay, I know that technically the market has already given a breakdown over here, and I had said that the once the market goes below this zone, that is when we will be bearish, and the market has closed below that zone. However, Nifty has not closed below 24,800, but Bank Nifty has closed below 50,700. Okay, so yes, technically this is a breakdown, but you also have to understand that some people were forced to sell their holdings today. Okay, so what we need to see is that on Monday, are we getting a follow-up? Okay, because if on Monday we are getting a follow-up, that means chances are that market will at least, Bank Nifty will at least go on to touch this low again near 49,800 to 700, and Nifty can also easily go back down till at least 24,500 on the downside, 24,400 to be more precise, at least 24,400 on the downside. So what you need to see tomorrow on Monday is that, first of all, are we seeing a sell-off? Are we continuing to see a sell-off? Because if we are continuing to see a sell-off, then we will continue to sell aggressively on Monday. Why? Because now the breakdown is confirmed and now we can go aggressively bearish on the market. Okay, so that is one thing, right? And if we are again closing at higher levels on Monday, okay, in Bank Nifty specifically above 51,000, and in Nifty specifically about 25,100, not 25,000 but 25,100. If we close above these levels, okay, if you want more confirmation, you can wait for Bank Nifty to close above 50 on 200. But yes, if we close above these levels, then chances are Nifty and Bank Nifty will see a very fast rally on the upside from here, because a lot of people who would have made bearish positions over here, they will start to get trapped, and big after that markets can again give you a very good rally. So as I said, Monday will be crucial. The first half of Monday will also be crucial. After opening, what you need to see is that, is the market seeing a sell-off? Is the market continuing to see weakness? Or after opening, are we seeing very big buying candles in the market? Okay, because if this is an opportunity, right? Okay, I know that that someone has to forcefully sell in the market. Okay, and that's why I know that this is a very good buying opportunity. Market is coming down for no reason, I can take a buying opportunity. So why would I wait to buy, right? If I get the price, I will start to buy immediately. Okay, and now if you see Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P, all of them have also closed negatively over here. So that means markets will again open with a gap down. So if I'm really interested in buying, I will get a very, very good price on Monday at the opening, right? And so I will not wait to take a buying position in the market, or I will not wait to buy stocks in the market, because I'm getting them for a good discount for no for basically no valid reason, right? So that means on Monday at the opening, if you're seeing very good buying, very fast buying, that means chances that market might recover. But if you're not seeing very fast buying on Monday, then chances are that market will continue to see this sell off, and then you can aggressively sell also, because now in Bank Nifty breakdown is confirmed. In Nifty also, if you see, sort of a breakdown is also confirmed below this high, right? Although as I said, 25,000, 24,800 is not broken, but given the way the markets have closed over here, I don't think 25,800 will be a very big support as of now. Okay, so let's move on to the 15-minute chart and look at where you can take a short position. In Nifty, best place to take a short position will be 24,960 to 25,000. Any sort of a pullback over there, and you can go ahead and think about taking a short position. In Bank Nifty, this area of 50,800 to 700, best place to take a short position. If the markets break this area and go up again, 50,950 to 51,000 is another level where you can think about taking a short position again. Okay, so those are the two levels in Bank Nifty that you need to think in Nifty and Bank Nifty that you need to think about if you want to take a short position at higher levels. However, since global markets have closed negatively, we will also open with a gap down mostly. And if you open with a gap down, let's say in Bank Nifty somewhere near 50,300, in Nifty let's say somewhere near 24,750, all these levels, as I said, look at the price action in the you can say first few minutes, or let's say the first hour. Okay, what is happening? If the markets are not recovering fast, then any sort of negative price action that you see in the market, or any sort of bullish trap that you see being made in the market, you can use that to take a short position in the market. Okay, and then you can keep very good targets on the downside. For bank nifty, you can easily keep a target of 49,800 on the downside over here, this support zone basically. And in nifty also, now, and in nifty also, first let's talk about nifty. And in nifty also, targets can be easily till 24,400 on the downside. Okay, so this is what you need to do for the markets, on Monday. Okay, if however, as I said, you see very fast buying, then don't do anything instantly. Let the markets go. Wait for proper confirmation. Now, like let's say markets open near 50,300, in the first half an hour itself, markets recover back up till 50,800. Okay, markets here 500 point recovery. Then don't jump with the FOMO that you need to buy. Okay, if you get a very good scenario in the market, or not scenario but a very good buying place in the market, then think about taking a buying position, but don't rush to take a buying position. Okay, don't rush. Okay, once you get proper confirmation, then think about taking a buying position. If you don't want to take a buying position, that is also fine. Wait for one day on the sidelines. After that, we will take a trade. Okay, but don't rush to take positions. Don't FOMO out yourself. Okay, because that will not end well most of the times. So I hope you guys understood what is the outlook for the next week for the markets. Again, watch my videos every day, watch my market analysis videos every day, and you will get a daily update about what is happening in the market and how you can trade the markets the next day. So yeah guys, that was it for this week, and thank you very much for watching till the end. I really appreciated that you waited till the end and watched the whole episode or listened to the whole episode. But yes, that was it for this week. I hope you guys learned something new from this week, from this week's episode. But yes, if you have any sort of recommendations, if you have any sort of suggestions or any sort of changes that you want to see in the podcast, do let me know in the comments or DM me on LinkedIn, Instagram, anywhere you feel like, and I will definitely look into it and I will try to make those changes in the podcast. But yes, I will see you guys in the next week in another episode. Bye bye.